After such a long wait, of course you'll see it, but is it better? Welcome to MsMojo, and today we'll be checking in on everyone's favorite animated superhero family, The Incredibles.
Everyone's special, Dash. Which is another way of saying no one is.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. With their new film coming out 14 years after the first, is it worth the wait, or will the original win out in the end? We're looking at varying points of interest to determine which film is better, and we won't even let nostalgia get in our way.
What do you mean? You designed it.
I never look back, darling. It distracts from the now.
P.S. Spoiler alert. Round 1. Animation. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, the animation for all Pixar films was groundbreaking. Animation by way of computers had quickly been pushed into vogue by the new studio. And by the time The Incredibles came out in 2004, the public was excited to see what Pixar would come out with next.
How are you doing that? I don't know! Whatever you do, don't stop!
This movie was the studio's biggest venture to that date, with tricky animation to pull off, like Violet's hair and high action scenes.
Bob!
But with Brad Bird at the helm, a man who had been around the animation block quite a few times, the film came out quite beautiful for its day. Since then, though, animation has obviously improved by leaps and bounds. And that's not just at Pixar. A quick glance over the past decade and a half of animated films will prove that. But for the 3D Incredibles 2 in particular, Bob Parr and his family feel more real than ever before. Thanks to advances in rendering and other tech, the textures of every scene, from the nightly dinner at the Parrs to a battle against the Underminer, are much more sophisticated in nature. And speaking of those battle sequences, they are much easier to execute as well, giving the animators time to perfect every millisecond. Both of these films were, and still are, gems for their animation alone. The Incredibles was a challenge that Pixar rose to, but what the original invented, the sequel perfected. Winner, Incredibles 2.
The animators are going to go insane for that. They're absolutely going to go bonkers.
Round 2. Comedy. Many of the laughs in the original film revolved around certain characters. Honey,
Why do you need to know?
I need it!
Don't you think about running off to doing no daring do? We've been planning this dinner for 2 months.
and of course Edna Mode.
You are Elastigirl! My God, pull yourself together!
Though both of their roles were small, almost everyone knows someone like either of them in real life, and therefore they tickle our funny bones all the more.
You tell me what my suit is, woman! We are talking about the greater good!
Greater good! I am your wife! I'm the greatest good you are ever gonna get!
The same could be said for the humor throughout The Incredibles. The relatable way the family interacts with one another is worthy of a giggle or two, as the movie holds up a mirror to our own families.
Are we there yet?
We get there when we get there!
Plus, the one-liners and physical humor scattered throughout the film is simply iconic. In Incredibles 2, however, the humor seems to rest largely on Jack-Jack and the progression of his superpowers.
Combustion imminent? What does that mean? Ah!
It means fire, Robert.
He clearly can't handle them. He's still just a baby after all. So the rest of the family, and Lucius, have to do the handling.
Okay, that is freaky.
Sometimes, he's used as a toy laser cannon. Sometimes he's shooting those lasers at a raccoon. Most of the time, though, he's running poor Bob ragged. But of course, as with the first, Edna and Honey do make their appearances, albeit short ones, and make them memorably funny.
I'll be there ASAP.
Where you going ASAP? You better be back ASAP!
We also definitely need more Edna Jack-Jack pair-ups in our lives. Though Jack-Jack driving his family a little crazy may make for some great comedic moments in the sequel, it's tough to beat The Incredibles at the humorously relatable game.
Coincidence? I think not!
Winner, The Incredibles.
You know, I wish my parents played Mozart when I slept because half the time I don't even know what the heck anyone's talking about.
Round 3. Story. Throughout The Incredibles, the world in which the main characters live is introduced to us, as well as the particulars of the characters themselves. We get to see Bob and Helen as Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, respectively. And then, when supers are outlawed, we get to see them as their mild-mannered alter egos. We feel the strain of family and work, but also the love of an accepting home.
Because what's important is that Mommy and I are always a team. We're always united against the forces of...
Pig-headedness?
I was going to say evil or something.
And of course, via a certain #1 fan who we'll get to later, we learn the dangers of not being kind to the adoring public. For an origin story, The Incredibles pretty much has it all.
You married Elastigirl? Oh, and got busy! It's a whole family of supers!
In Incredibles 2, though, the family dynamic gets flipped on its head. Bob is now a stay-at-home dad attempting to learn new math.
That's not the way you're supposed to do it, Dad. They want us to do it this
I don't
way.
know that way. Why would they change math? Math is math. Math is math.
And we finally get to see Elastigirl really get her time in the spotlight. There's more exploration into the world of supers versus everyday people, while still trying to get superheroes back into the public's good graces through the Devers company DevTech.
So if we want to change people's perceptions about superheroes, we need you to share your perceptions with the world.
Incredibles 2 finds a way to do something new with its story, and does not fall back on easy superhero tropes. So while the plot of the first film was interesting, fun, and funny enough to draw in viewers the world over, the story of the sequel will keep them coming. And with the space and ability to flesh out these lovable characters even more, Incredibles 2 takes this round. Winner, Incredibles 2.
I haven't been sleepy. I broke my daughter. They keep changing math. We needed AA batteries, but I got AAAs, and now we still need AA batteries.
Round 4. Action. From the opening moments of a simple car chase and the not-so-simple encounter with Bon Voyage, right up to the end when the par's house explodes, The Incredibles is loaded with action sequences. And each one is more fun and engaging than the last, pulling us deeper and deeper into the world of the supers. There are huge battles against robots. There are smaller, slyer battles against guards. And along the way, there is a plane crash and Jack's demon side.
Something's happening. What's happening?
All in all, it's an intense thrill ride. Incredibles 2 keeps that action going, picking right up where the previous movie left off. Remember the Underminer?
Behold the Underminer!
He's after all of the city's money. Elastigirl saves a bullet train, and even takes on Screenslaver in a one-on-one battle. And as with its predecessor, there is plenty of high action to keep a viewer engaged, and make it easy to fall in love with the Parr family and their super friends all over again. Seeing as how both of these films are overflowing with heroics, it's easy to say that action sequences abound. And in both, they are pretty amazing. However, with fight scenes like the one on the island, and even against Bon Voyage, we have to give this round to The Incredibles. Winner, The Incredibles.
That was totally wicked!
Round 5. Villain.
I'm Syndrome, your nemesis at it!
Brilliant.
In both movies in the Incredibles franchise, there are sub-villains and the main villain. In The Incredibles, the sub-villain is Bon Voyage, a baddie who Mr. Incredible has clearly fought and lost to before. But Buddy Pine, also known as Syndrome, is the cautionary tale of mistreating your fans.
Can you fly?
Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
Oui, ta tenue est complètement ridicule!
Just give me one chance.
Vendetta-driving resentment is a pretty hard emotion to shake, as we'll find out in the sequel as well. And it's the motivating force behind all of Syndrome's misdeeds.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing! I can't believe it.
He has spent his whole life, his money, and his very resourceful mind to bring about the end of Mr. Incredible, going so far as to kill other supers to perfect the killing machine that'll do it. That and his death scene make us question whether this is a kids' movie. Meanwhile, in the sequel, the previously mentioned Underminer is pretty well forgotten in the first action sequence. But if you stayed past the credits, you may know that he's far from gone. Throughout much of Incredibles 2, another vendetta-ridden supervillain is here to take on the Super Family and Company, Screenslaver.
The Screenslaver interrupts this program for an important announcement.
Screenslaver's abilities are admittedly pretty awesome, capable of hypnotizing anyone to do their bidding. With far more than just a vendetta against one specific super, Screenslaver is out to make all supers pay. There are some stupendous villains in both of these films, with grudges that are easily relatable. However, while Screenslaver is pretty cool, Buddy Pine turned Syndrome owns the original heart feelings towards the Super family, and therefore takes this final round.
Huh? Oh, come on! You gotta admit this is cool!
Winner, The Incredibles.
Looks like I've hit the jackpot! Oh, this is just too good!
Well, it seems even a fantastic sequel can't beat the original. So while we definitely think everyone should go see Incredibles 2, The Incredibles wins by 1 point, 3-2.
I mean, after all, I am your biggest fan.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from MsMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.